It is nonsense. People have been going to work in a facility for some 2,000 years. So let's not take the piss.
Welcome back to the Business Growth Mindset Podcast, where we help business owners and founders scale their businesses with clarity, strategy, and confidence.
I'm not a big believer of working from home. It's been a trial for years. I'm also not a big supporter and haven't been my whole life of open space working because it's distracting, and then there's competing priorities. People, oh, that conversation I've got to have with that person, or this person, or I've got this other. I've got to go pick up my children in the middle of the day. I get it that employees have had this wonderful time, right? But there's evidence now that there is more overload and more burnout now that people are working from home than before. And people are blaming it. Oh, but now I'm being forced to go back to work. That is why. That's nonsense, right? It is nonsense. People have been going to work in a facility for some 2,000 years, right? So let's not take the piss, right? Or at least more, even before Christ, right? So the reality of it is people have been going to work. The problem is that as humans, we always want more and more and more. But the problem is I don't care that you're saving travel time. That's not my problem. I've still got to travel to work, right? And our customers don't care. Our customers want to be serviced. They want to be relied upon, right? But also there's a whole lot of other benefits that when you're around people, and you know this, you struggle when you work on your own all the time because you have this impulsive desire for human connection, which is natural. Like, it's fucking natural, right? We will never, Lucy always cracks the shits when I say this, but we weren't designed to be alone. We're human beings. We were designed, whether you believe in religion or not, we were created as two. Whether we were Adam and Steve or Adam and Eve or Eve and Rachel, I don't care. Like, the point I'm trying to make is we were created as a pair. Even if that's just a story, right? I mean, we biologically, to produce, we always had to be two, right? Yeah. So I understand that people crave it, and you get that. And working with other people that are excited, this morning our COD call, there was like 22 clients on the call. It's, I now take both calls. Originally, I only took Thursdays, and I thought, no, bugger it. I'm all in with these guys this year, and the biggest thing that they say to me at the end of it is not only do we learn, it's like, man, the energy you bring sets me up for the day. And it's kind of like, yep. And to think that today I'm absolutely knackered, right? Like, and so why? Because as a professional, I've got to show up, right, in my best state so I can give people that and then deliver it. Just like I turn up to these, we could have not filmed today, right? We could have gone, yeah, forget it. We've got heaps of other work on. You've got heaps of work. I've got heaps of work. But we want to be consistent, right? Because consistency allows the brain to flow. Okay. So, so I guess the other thing is, what a lot of people do is they lose focus on the high value activities. And the other thing it affects dramatically, it affects leadership, right? If you are mentally overloaded, your team feels it too, and you become less present, more irritable, and you struggle to make clear decisions. And that is why now, whenever I'm feeling a bit flat, which is rare, as you know, I normally preface that in a meeting and say, hey, I'm feeling like this. And, you immediately, when I'm saying that because I'm being vulnerable. All right, what can we drop out of your calendar? What can we structure? And I really appreciate that. And like, okay, it's cool, Kristian, I'll do that. I know you've got too much on. I'll make some time. And like, people then jump to that. And I think that's the quality of great leadership. I'm not saying I'm a great leader. I'm just saying that's a quality of great leadership, is that ability to be vulnerable, right? But also acknowledge when you're in that state. So, I guess, I was once, and I was reflecting on a time while I was giving you that answer. I was once, and this is a previous client, not anymore. I was coaching a really high performing entrepreneur, a global entrepreneur, and I was actually coaching them. They actually asked me, Kristian, I know you're not a coach, I know you're an advisor, but I really want to just hang out with you, and I want to chew the fat on stuff every single week for an hour a week. And I said, sure, look, you're going to pay me a ridiculous amount of money. Why wouldn't I do it? And I'm not a coach because it's not something that I'm normally prepared to give the answers, like listen in. And we worked together for 2 years, and it was amazing. And the reason we don't work together is they had a really successful exit, and they're now retired. Like, living on the Croatian coast, living the life that I want to live. So they were running multiple businesses, and they were also managing a large team, and they were trying to balance family life. And she was constantly overwhelmed. But instead of stepping up, she just worked longer hours, thinking that the grind would actually solve the problem. And I'm totally anti-hustle and anti-grind. And as a former entrepreneur and resident of a Sandstone University, they are not the types of people that say no hustle, no grind. But I know that hustle and grind is just bullshit, right? It's just like, let's be fucking cool. There's no such thing as being cool in business. You're either on or you're off, right? Like, that's it. Okay. So instead of her productivity, her productivity dropped. All the mistakes started turning into big problems, and eventually she actually hit burnout, right? So she was absolutely disengaged, lost motivation, and her business suffered profitably as well as team morale. And the reason I got involved is she's like, I want to sell now. And I said, you can't sell now. You've like spent 10 years building this thing, sacrificed your family, right? And I said, that's why I'll work with you. And in 2 years, we turned the whole dial right around for a phenomenal exit. So, what did we do? We introduced her to structured task prioritization, to setting very clear boundaries, really clear boundaries for herself, her team, and her whole family, right? But the biggest thing that we installed was meditation practices, right? She regained her clarity. She worked smarter instead of harder. And what we actually saw was way higher efficiency with fewer hours. And that is actually the reason why I talk about this, is because this is one of the people that inspired me to launch the Aligned State with my guru, Bronwyn Coles, because this was 8 years ago, 7 years ago. And so I look back now, and this was even just before I was consulting. So I was doing this on the side. And what blew my mind is that as I've been developing this process with Bronwyn, we decided at the end of last year, I finally convinced her, I said, listen, you can't be my secret weapon forever. Right? We've got to release you, and we've got to release you to the world. Now, most people are thinking, what is this Aligned State thing you're talking about? This is the first time I've talked about it online. We've only got 2-3 people signed up. They're clients already. We only went to clients. There's people on the wait list. We're testing it out. This month is all about purpose. And so far, the mental clarity the people are getting are fantastic. And it's exactly what we wanted. We get goosebumps on our live sessions twice a week. But then we have every single day. There's meditations that Bronwyn tailors, right, to how the universal patterns of energy are moving around, which is how she keeps me linear, right? So, and that's really important. So, key takeaways that I think from that is that the mental overload, Bonnie, is a productivity killer. Right. But the first step to fixing it is awareness. And I'm going to keep saying that, right? It's self-awareness. And if you recognize the signs yourself, it's just time to pause, reassess, and implement strategies to offload the mental burden. Because the clearer your mind, the sharper your results.